A woman was driving down a field road in St. Charles County, Missouri. June 30th, 1999. She wasn't looking for anything, but she found something anyway. A body. A man lying face up in a cornfield, already decomposing. No identification, no wallet, no phone, and no one had reported him missing. His name was Ricky McCormick, 41 years old, from St. Louis, Missouri, a high school dropout who survived on disability payments and low-paying night shift work. People who knew Ricky described him as difficult to understand. As a child, he often kept to himself. Family members said he told strange stories and sometimes seemed disconnected from the world around him. One relative later recalled what a psychiatrist had once said about Ricky. He had a brick wall in his mind, and he refused to break it down. After serving time in prison during the early 1990s, Ricky found work at an Amoco gas station in downtown St. Louis. The station was managed by two brothers, Juma and Baha Hamdallah. Over time, Ricky began making unexplained trips to Florida. According to his girlfriend, he appeared frightened after those trips. She later told investigators she believed he may have been transporting marijuana for the Hamdallah brothers. Something had changed, and whatever it was, it seemed to be making him afraid. In the final week of June 1999, Ricky visited two different emergency rooms. Once on June 22nd, again on June 25th. He complained of chest pain and shortness of breath. On June 27th, he was reportedly seen at the Amoco station. Then he vanished. No phone calls, no confirmed sightings, no one looking for him. 3 days later, his body was discovered nearly 20 miles away in a remote field near West Alton. Ricky did not own a car. The area had no convenient public transportation. How he arrived there has never been explained. The medical examiner could not determine a cause of death. Officially, the reason Ricky McCormick died remains unknown. One detective later admitted that his instincts suggested foul play, but instincts are not evidence, and evidence was in short supply. The investigation stalled. Then detectives searched his pockets. Inside, they found two folded pieces of paper. At first glance, the notes looked meaningless. Random letters, numbers, symbols, nonsense. But the more investigators studied them, the stranger they became. Patterns repeated. Certain combinations appeared again and again. The notes seemed structured, intentional, as if they followed rules no one could identify. The papers were sent to the FBI's Cryptanalysis and Racketeering Records Unit, a specialized team experienced in decoding complex ciphers. They examined the notes and failed to decode them. The FBI believed the characters were not random. The problem was that nobody could determine what system had been used. Without knowing the language, the method, or the key, the message remained locked. More than 30 lines of coded text stretched across the 2 pages. Repeated sequences appeared throughout, yet no known cipher matched the structure. Years passed. The mystery remained unsolved. Then, in 2011, the FBI took an unusual step. They released the notes to the public. For the first time, anyone could attempt to solve them. Codebreakers, linguists, intelligence veterans, and amateur cryptographers all joined the effort. Thousands examined the pages. Some believed the notes contained medical information. Others thought they referenced names. Some suspected drug transactions. No theory could be proven. Even Ricky's family was skeptical. They doubted he had written the notes at all. Relatives pointed out that Ricky struggled with reading and spelling throughout his life, and that created an unsettling question. Who actually wrote them? Because there are only a few possibilities. Either Ricky created a personal system so unusual that it defeated the FBI for decades, or someone else wrote those messages and placed them in his pocket. If that happened, the notes become something entirely different. Not a clue from the victim, but a message left behind by another person. Perhaps a warning, perhaps a distraction, perhaps something never intended to be understood. Investigators did identify people of interest during the case. Among them was Baha Hamdallah, Ricky's former employer. Police records described him as having connections to criminal networks and violent activity. Another tip pointed investigators toward a local drug dealer named Gregory Lamar Knox. Surveillance was conducted. Questions were asked, but no charges were ever filed in connection with Ricky's death. The investigation continued without answers, and the notes remained unread. Over the years, independent researchers developed competing theories. One theory suggests the papers were not a sophisticated cipher at all. Instead, they may have been a personal shorthand system created by Ricky himself, a private language understood by only one person. If that theory is correct, the notes may never be solved because the key died with him. Another theory argues the opposite. Supporters point to the consistency of the patterns and repetition. They believe the structure suggests an organized code taught to Ricky by someone else, possibly connected to criminal activity, possibly containing names, locations, or information someone wanted hidden. No one knows which explanation is correct. The FBI has never officially solved the notes, and Ricky McCormick's death remains one of the most unusual mysteries in modern criminal history. More than 2 decades later, the questions remain exactly where they started. How did Ricky die? How did he end up in that field? Who wrote the notes? And what do they say? Maybe Ricky McCormick was simply a troubled man whose death was ultimately unremarkable. Or maybe those 2 folded pieces of paper contain the answer to everything. The identity of a killer, the details of a crime, a secret that vanished with the only person who could explain it. 25 years later, nobody knows. The notes are still unsolved, the case is still open, and the message inside those pages remains unread. The mystery remained unsolved.